and who'd like to start reading today?
I can.
No? Okay. This is lesson 21.
I am determined to see things differently. The idea for today is obviously a continuation and extension of the preceding one. This time, however, specific mind-searching periods are necessary, in addition to applying the idea to particular situations as they might arise. 5 practice periods are urged, allowing a full minute for each.
In the practice periods, begin by repeating the idea to yourself. Then close your eyes and search your mind carefully for situations past, present, or anticipated that arouse anger in you. The anger may take the form of any reaction ranging from mild irritation to rage. The degree of the emotion you experience does not matter. You will become increasingly aware that a slight twinge of annoyance is nothing but a veil drawn over intense fury.
To us?
Yeah.
Number 3.
Just one paragraph, yeah.
Try, therefore, not to let the little thoughts of anger escape you in the practice periods. Remember that you do not really recognize what aroused anger in you, and nothing that you believe in this connection means anything. You will probably be tempted to dwell more on some situations or persons than on others on the fallacious grounds that they are more obvious. This is not so. It is merely an example of the belief that some forms of attack are more justified than others.
As you search your mind for all the forms in which attack thoughts present themselves, hold each one in mind while you tell yourself, I am determined. I am determined to see, in brackets, name of a person differently. I am determined to see, in brackets, specify the situation differently. Try to be as specific as possible. You may, for example, focus on anger on a particular attribute of a particular person, believing that the anger is limited to this aspect. If your perception is suffering from this form of distortion, say, I am determined to see, in brackets, specify the attribute in that person differently. You can read.
Page 32.
Yeah, I think that's one of the famous, for me it's one of the big lessons in Course in Miracles. I'm determined to see things differently. And it's one of the ones I use quite regularly. I have my list of favourite ones. I'm determined to see this differently. And it goes on. I mean, this one's a bit more focused just on anger and rage or annoyance. But I think the lovely thing with the Course in Miracles is that it always says, like, don't sort of judge whether it's a small one or a big one, or you think you shouldn't do it. You should do it on all of them. And as it said in there, no form of attack. And it's just that some may seem more justified than others, but that's no reason. It's still a form of attack, or it pulls you in, like someone was saying earlier, to duality. So
it's kind of asking me to do it, because I had a really good experience, because you know our main subject always is spirituality, it's always
Yes.
Course in Miracles and stuff like that. And
Yes.
when you guided me the other day
Yes.
with that, it was really gave me another level of looking at it. So I thought, why not? You know, if it feels good, you know, if it doesn't, then that's alright.
If it feels good for her.
Yeah, of course.
I don't
It feels
mind
good for me.
whatever's
Okay,
that.
it's
Okay.
like
Whatever is
feels
that.
good for her.
Whatever that, yeah.
Okay, Dorota.
Yes.
Yeah, Dorota, okay. So, well, I'll give a little introduction to self-inquiry first. And self-inquiry is like discovering the, or experiencing the self. Experiencing the self. And it could say it's like inquiring into what is the true nature of the self. And what is not the self. Or what is, in terms of the Course, what is the ego, and what would be without the ego, in terms of Course terms.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know, that's what
Yeah.
that's
She always asked me about that. That's why I thought that that would be good.
Sorry, keep going, but
And you can ask questions. Feel free to ask. Or anyone to interrupt. So it's like from Course terms, we'd say like, as I understand, and these are just my views. Anyone can disagree with my views. They're just my views. But, you know, like the Course says, my thoughts are meaningless. So that for me is one of the aspects of the ego. Or I'm not a body. I'm free, for I am as God created me. But those can just be thoughts as well. So self-inquiry. So this is the thing that I did with my teacher Muji, who was, you could say, is the lineage of Ramana Maharishi. And so it's like a process. It's like an inquiring process. That's why I guess it's called self-inquiry. And funny enough, it's very, very related. Actually, you could say that great truths have channels. I mean, Saint Francis had a famous quote, which is, "What you're looking for is where you're looking from." That's what St. Francis said. What you're looking for is where you're looking from. And so what is self-inquiry? Self-inquiry is like, well, you know, I usually give the same metaphors. So the metaphor is like an eyeball. Yeah. Imagine like I'm trying to discover what I am, and now if I can see an object out there, let's see, I can see a plant behind, or I can see a bottle of water on the table. So trying to discover what I am, am I likely to be the bottle of water or the eyeball? Which is more likely to be me? Would you guess, Dorothy? It's like a question. If I see an object out there, am I the object I see out there, or am I that which is watching the eye, seeing the bottle of water?
but none of this exists.
Well, we're not talking about, okay, so we're talking now like experientially as opposed to intellectually. Like if I was trying to realize or experience the true nature of self, okay, let's say, so like none of this exists. Okay, let's put it another way. Let's go into the inquiry then. In this moment right now, what is your experience of you?
My body.
Okay, good. So you're experiencing the body now, yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now, can I ask? In this, we're talking about experience as opposed to just ideas. So how are you experiencing this? What is being experienced now in this moment?
How do I say that in English? Curiosity. But is this, you mean like my body wise?
Oh no, I'm talking about what you. I'm asking your experience of self.
Of myself.
Yeah, like an experience. So right now, yeah, body could be, or it could be my thinking. For you, quite literally, what is your experience of self now, in this moment?
Lightness, enlightenment. I'm not sure am I giving you good answers.
You experience enlightenment?
Yes.
No? Okay. So, okay, that's good. So you're experiencing enlightenment now. So is there any sense of a self? Right? Is there a sense that you're a body, or is that not here right now?
Yes, it is.
Oh, the sense of body is here.
Yes.
Okay. So is this, okay, so this sense of body is here, yeah? And is there anything else? Are you sensing a self? So there's this body here. Are thoughts you or not thoughts you?
I'm not sure, do I understand that?
Okay. So it's okay, you don't have to understand it. Okay, so the sense of body, how are you experiencing it? Is it a sense of location? Is it a sense of what do you experience as the body? How do you know that there's a body here?
Yes, a sense of location.
Mm-hmm.
Physically,
Physically, yes.
I feel my legs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you feel your legs and you feel a sense of location. Now, when we go to that, which is now, your sense of legs you can experience right now, yes, and a sense of location. How are you experiencing the sense of location?
Because I can see things.
Okay, so you're seeing things. You're seeing things from a place, are you?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. So and you can and you're experiencing the legs as well. Okay. So there have been times when you've not. There's been something is here which is observing your sense of legs, and is observing your sense of location. Yeah. There's a perceiver or an observer of this, which is not, because you see, these are perceptions that can be here or not be here. Like there have been times in your life when you've not been aware of your legs.
Yes.
Yeah. And there have been times when the legs, you're aware of them. So this is something that can come and go, yes? Like one day you're aware of your legs, the next day you could be not aware of your legs. Mm-hmm. So something is here. So there's something here which is always here, which doesn't pass. And there are all the things that pass before it. So sometimes there can be the sense of legs, and then some days not the sense of legs. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And sometimes there can be this image, and then sometimes there's not this image, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there can be a thought here, and sometimes there's no thoughts here, and sometimes there's many thoughts here, yes? So all of these are like coming and going. These are phenomena that come and go, they pass. They arise and they fall. But all of these are being observed. So something is here that observes sense of leg, and then no sense of leg, yes? And that which is observing the sense of the presence of legs is not the sense of the presence of legs, because it witnesses or perceives when it's here and when it's not here, but it is always here, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there can be like thoughts here, and then sometimes there's no thoughts here, but that is still here, still observing when there are many thoughts or no thoughts, yes? Okay, so sometimes there can be senses, sometimes there can be a very limited sense of self, like very restricted, and sometimes there's more expansive senses of self, yes? So these are also changing, very limited to very expansive. So this is here before that, witnessing this which is changing, yes? Or perceiving. So so right now, what are you experiencing as self? Are you the leg thing now?
Yes.
Okay, you're the leg thing. So if you're the leg thing, but can you go to that which is observing the legs, but is not the legs? So there's something here which is observing the legs, but it itself is not the legs.
I understand, yes.
Can you do this? Can you go to that place?
I think so.
Okay. So, so what is your experience now? Are you the leg thing?
I'll be observer.
You're the observer. Are you the observer now, or are you the leg thing?
I'm in between.
Okay, good. So there's an in-between. Good, thank you. You're in between. Now, what holds things in place is, okay, there is an observer which has interest in things, okay, and there is also an observer which has no interest, okay.
Okay.
So now, when something is like we were talking about interest. Like I've shared this in the room many times before. It's like I was in the room some time back, and I was talking, and then I mentioned there was traffic noise outside. Yeah, and when I mentioned it, then everyone realized there was noise. But until I mentioned it, nobody realized there was noise. See, it was not. It seemed like it wasn't there. But when interest goes to the noise, it seems like it's there. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
So, just like that. So it's like when there is a lot of interest in something, it seems to come into experience. And now, you see that there is the observer, and there are the legs, and there's a kind of an observer which is mixed in with the legs. It's kind of interested in the legs, which is fine. That's normal. There is something, because it's got great interest, so this observer seems to be stuck or mixed in. Yeah? So there is an observer, or a witnesser, or a perceiver here, which witnesses without interest. So it's like, just like some objects, when an observer is witnessing things with no interest, it doesn't get stuck in it. Yeah. So can you go to, okay, so there can be the experience of legs, and there can be an observer which is interested in the legs, but there is another observer, which is it's not the mix, which is observing without any interest. Can you go to this observer, which has no interest in the legs, or the mixing? Good. Well, what is the experience now?
Sometimes if you close your eyes, it's easier.
No, I'm laughing because the laugh is experience.
Yes. Okay, so is there any limitation here?
In where?
Now, in this moment, is there any limitation?
No.
Okay, good. Excellent. Is there any problems here in this moment?
No.
No. Good. This is it. Yes. This is it.
Oh, that's it?
Well, you have no problems and you have no limitations.
She's an expert.
Oh my god! Oh, how do I take this with me?
Okay. So I tell you.
That is a problem.
No, well, yes. No,
No,
some
yes and no.
information.
You have to take Sabbir.
Well, I have YouTube videos. I'm everywhere.
You can watch them on YouTube.
It's a lovely question. Actually, what happens is that is always, and a thought arises. How do I keep this? Yeah.
Can I stop you for a second and
Yeah.
ask you a
Yeah,
question?
Sure.
How do I recognize is this ego or not?
Okay. Well, for me, I would stay in that place where there is full recognition of you're not a thought, you're not limited by anything. See, that place, various aspects of ego will come to test it. Like, all things are tracked, even time is tracked, but time is observed, so there is no time, it's in the timeless. Location is observed, so it's not limited to location. Thoughts are observed, so there is no thought. As long as no thoughts have interest in them, then no thought can touch this place. They just happen and arise. So,
how do I keep this?
How do I keep this as a thought? How do I keep this? You see, how do I keep this?
Are you still separate from it?
You see, in this state, this is ridiculous. How do I keep? That's just a thought. It does not mean anything. But the second it becomes meaningful is the birth of the ego.
Okay.
Or any aspect of the aspects of ego, the tracking of time, the tracking of location, the tracking of body in limitation, in space, the tracking of physical sensations, or any type of projection of future or past or whatever, or thinkingness. When there's interest applied to it, then suddenly, to the extent it's applied, restriction occurs and limitation occurs. So that's the natural state, but as soon as anything is hooked into certain things, like the body starts to be, oh, it's my body, oh, I am the thoughts, and then as soon as the thoughts are identified with, then the stories and the projections can all start. But
I'm not laughing at you, I'm just laughing, sorry.
Yeah, but it is very, very funny. I'm happy that you're laughing, because in that place one laughs at everything, because it's not serious. Or the seriousness is being invested in it. And then you can only become serious if you get into the thinking. Otherwise, there's just now. There isn't a problem now in that place. So what happens is that when you have the realization, eventually some thoughts may come. And if there's interest in the thoughts, then suddenly it's like, oh, the state is lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but actually, it's just what happened was there's interest in something. And then that hooks you into limitation. What you hook into thoughts, hook into sensations in the body, hook into time, hook into location. So suddenly there's a sense of restricted self or separation. There's a me now. We're talking about non-duality. Suddenly there becomes a me. And there's a me who can think of time, who's unconsciously tracking time, is a sense of location. As soon as there's a sense of location, then I'm here and you are there. Yes? So all the dualities start to occur. But actually none of this has happened. But then happening happens when there's hooking into or interest or identification with the realm of the limited, you see. So actually that is all the time. But then as soon as thoughts, you're into a different dimension of duality and separation. To begin with, that's enough. You just stay there, and then layers of the ego eventually will come up to be resolved to get to higher realizations. But it's not necessary for that. Otherwise, that just becomes an intellectual thing. First, stabilize in that. Just be. When the beingness is 100% free, that it is not. I mean, the beingness is very natural. It's like if there is a mug of tea, it doesn't stop the beingness because it's meaningless. You see, the beingness doesn't. The state of expansion is not stopped by a mug of tea on the table. I mean, it's meaningless. It has no power to stop. But if there is a lot of interest in something, suddenly identity can spring up, either interest in a thought or interest in an object. Suddenly the duality and the start of the ego's perceptual world originates. So otherwise it's just presence and beingness and oneness. There's no problems there. And also in that place, like there's people here who witness, the grace takes care of everything. It's not necessary to go into the ego and to future thinking. That's one of the Course in Miracles lessons. I place the future in the hands of God. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful lesson because if you place even the next moment the very next split second, then, you know, there is only now. It's like it's none of your business. Everything is God's business. So there is no need to think of the future, no need to think of the past, no need to think of anything. You just place it all in the hands of God. So if there's everything, you place time in the hands of God, location in the hands of God, all your thoughts how do you place all the thoughts in the hands of God? When they're meaningless, they have, it's the identification with the thoughts that creates the ego and a sense of separation, you see. So it's like, I say, otherwise you just stay in that.
I feel that's when my fear kicks in.
Yes. You see,
Is one of my housemates, he's not into spirituality, he's Christian, and he just told me something really amazing in the morning. He was very agitated with his work and how much he puts into it, and it never come. Doesn't have time. Nothing ever comes out of it and stuff like that. And he said, "Oh my God, we invest so much in the future, always trying to think of what's good for future, but future never comes. It's always today." And he said it in a very kind of weird way. But I'm thinking that's the best conversation I ever had with anyone, you know, about that, because it never comes.
Yes.
There's always today, you know. So I'm not sure if he realized fully what he said, but he was definitely there. You know, it was definitely a very, very cool thing to experience. So.
Yeah, I feel there's a fear. Sorry. Because it's amazing to stay in a place like this, but I just want to see myself laughing like a lunatic walking on the London streets.
So that's, you picked up a thought. Yes.
Yeah, I realized I've picked up the thought. Another thought what I've picked up, it was, how do I live with this?
Okay, the fear that you will not be provided for. Okay, I mean, practically, how I would do that is, there's two components. What you can do with this is just practice this on the weekends and after work, in the beginning. Unless you want
this. I don't mind, it's just I'm going to have a conversation with my manager next week, and I don't really want him to think I'm rude if he tells me either I'm fired or not, and I start laughing.
Well, yeah. I mean, on a practical level, yeah. On a practical level, see, while there's fear and you want to be cautious, I would say do it outside of work. I mean, if something very, very deep says you don't care, and it's like saying...
That's the thing, I'm afraid of mixing this up with I don't care.
Well, the I don't care can come from different places. Sometimes it comes from spirit, and sometimes it comes from ego.
Yes.
There is a certain point in many spiritual people's lives where it is like, now is the time to embrace this. When that comes, that's a very, very strong grace. The I don't care, which is destructive, is not from that place. I was not talking about that. But I was talking until that grace comes, which then directs your life. In the meantime, to be practical, you see, for me it's like, can you trust, because for where you are, it's like, can you trust the grace? In the beginning, and also there needs to be some maturation with the trust of the grace in the early days. So it's like people who've accessed the grace, when there's trust in it and there's no fear thoughts, it's like the grace provides, you know, and actually it can be like very, very miraculous how everything, the buses arrive on time, things are orchestrated, the people you meet. So that can happen. But in the early days, yes?
Because I know more or less her
story.
Yeah, so last year, it's about finance, last year I've earned $2,500 in 10 minutes, okay, by posting links on Facebook. And it took me 3 times a minute or 1.5 minutes, and that really changed everything, because I could see that it's really not about doing, planning or anything. It just comes, and we say yes or no. It wouldn't be anything wrong if I said no. I just, it was selling spiritual classes. and it was a link, and there was 50% commission on that, so it was really easy. Just a few people bought it, you know, but not practical. I'm not want to talk about technical stuff here, but it made me understand that
Yes.
grace provides.
Yes.
So I would not ever think before that I can earn $2,500 in 10 minutes, in 5 minutes, really, you know, effortlessly, like whatever.
Yes.
It never happened, because you sit on a computer, you just do copy and paste, and then you see money coming. And then you're like, wow, you know, and then, so that was totally changing experience, and the trust showed up. Another kind of trust, more mature trust showed up. Okay, and then I understood that this is not a definition, it's just a manifestation.
Yes.
It can be whatever, really. It can really fall on my head,
Yes.
you know, in a bag of whatever. But I saw what I used to believe it's not possible, or what people say it happens to them, but I would never say it will happen to me. Suddenly it happens, you know.
Yes.
It never happened since then, but it happened once for me to see that, oh my God, you know, it's just, if you need it, it's there for you. So
Yes.
that's what I wanted
So
to say.
it'd be
You talk about a lot about money, so I wanted to bring it up.
I think it's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I think nearly everyone here is, when you're in the grace, everything happens and everything's provided for. But it's like what you said there with the maturation as well. So in the beginning, you know, you can try it on weekends or holidays or after work, and eventually you gain trust, and or you can try it when your boss is out of the office for a while, and talk to colleagues. And there is a maturation process, you know. For me as well, just on practical points of view, I mean, I can say, like, being in the observer is great, but there is like a learning curve. Like, I found that being in the observer is like sometimes information isn't tracked as well. There's not tracking of information. So I remember I was being the observer, and I was making my breakfast in a blender, and I left the spoon in, you see. So there was a loud noise, you know, but the grace automatically counteracts for that. So now there's a little bit more tracking of information, you see, in that situation, because of that, you know. Otherwise...
So what do you mean with this? But don't understand this.
Yes?
Like, you know, like with the blender, the spoon, and
Yes.
then the grace information. What do you
Well,
mean
it
by
means
that?
there was a maturation. So in future, it's like there's a little bit more interest in is the spoon in the blender before I switch it on.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because so it's just like to the extent, if you're like in peace and bliss and unity, when there's maturation, there is some kind of grace that is aware you're crossing the road. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean experience? Of,
Yeah.
There is experience. That
There
this-
is
this-
suddenly that
this-
there's more tracking of information.
Mm.
Oh, there's a car, you know, as opposed to no tracking of information.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, you can walk through. Sometimes
Yeah,
the cars
yeah,
won't
yeah.
hit you.
Yeah, you need
Sometimes
to,
the cars won't hit you, but sometimes
Yeah.
if you're new, they may hit you.
Yeah.
It's not like the Matrix where they're just like striding through people.
Well,
I
that
love
would be mature, wouldn't it?
On the busy street, like.
Is there any exercise? How do I get into that state?
You just did it, didn't you?
I just
You just did it.
but how do I do it on my own? I just
There's a lot of Moji. There's a lot of Moji on, and he's doing enquiry to many people, so you can just
Okay.
watch it. And you know, while you were doing her, I thought actually I asked for it for me. I realized, you know,
You want
because
to do
it
it for
happened. No, because while you were guiding her,
Yes.
I experienced that again. You know, I
Okay.
thought, oh, actually, did I really?
Yeah, he's a bad friend.
selfish.
But he's a friend.
But he's a friend.
No,
so
but yeah.
you can have done it
It's
for
not
both of
your
you. Yeah.
So is that kind of state of effortless?
It's, yes, the effortless, the limitless, the effortless, the timeless, and the distanceless. This is probably not grammatically correct. But that which is beyond distance, beyond time, beyond thought, and beyond...
Does it come with the practice?
Yes, you could say, yes, because what's happened, why is that difficult, is because there's so much pre-existing interest.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of interest in time, a lot of interest in distance, a lot of interest in thoughts, you know. There's so much interest in all of this. So the practice is just letting go of the layers of interest in we were talking about duality, in this and the separations of this and that, separation of one second to the next, the separation, I am here, you are there, the separation of this thought is important. You see, the thing of what was said was that when phenomena is not interesting, it doesn't impinge on the limitless. So this was, yeah.
One of the first lessons in Course in Miracles, there's this, my thoughts don't mean anything.
Yes.
So it's just another way to get into that.
Okay.
Now you got a raw state, or you can get from the other thing, which this is the content, but realization would follow the content after enough practice, because you would realize, yeah, they don't. You just had a realization that your thoughts don't mean anything, that nothing really means anything.
Mm-hmm.
So whichever way you get there, it doesn't really matter. But you know.
Yes, that's correct.
It's funny because I feel that fear, which will be ego,
Yes.
will do everything to stop me to get there. Because my thoughts kicking in. Where do I go from there? Is it that's it? And how does this going to give me, supply me with? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes. What about
Yeah.
you know? What about the practicalities of life? You know,
Yes,
the thoughts
thank
come,
you.
and the practicalities of. This is what I say about learning it in easy situations to see, will the grace provide, and also there is a maturation process as well. These are the practical questions which are good. So it's like you can practice being in that state and then seeing, can you speak to another individual in the observer and not break the state. So then it becomes, well, oh yeah, I can talk to you, and still that is me.
And being
And being observed. So then you can function, you see. But I'm not the body, I'm not the thoughts, but talking is happening. Yes?
So in a way it's beautiful because I'm not judgmental of the other person.
Yeah.
And I can hear
It's like totally
True.
hiding there.
So you can be in that now, and you can still talk to me. It doesn't stop that. Yes.
Okay.
So you know, and you can still. All these things can be happening, but still there's nothing happening. Even though talking is happening, there's no sense of body. There's no sense of any thought meaning anything. So eventually, because thoughts come that this will be broken, but then you realize, no, not necessarily. You know, that can still be the essence.
Okay.
So then you can go, oh, eventually you can learn to work, you see, and that isn't broken either. But in the beginning, many thoughts may come, no, it has to go now because I spoke a word, or it has to come because my boss said something. Then as you make it meaningless, then it doesn't stop that.
Yeah.
You see. So if you try and do it on...
You know what? Because it's very easy. Sorry, it's very easy to fall into another trap. You know, to get into that state, because observer itself cannot want to be because it knows that it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the question can never come out of it. You sit and you ask a question, how do I sit?
Yeah.
You sit already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More or less, metaphor would be that.
It's nothing to worry about, really. You know, it's just when something presents. You know, like what can I do in here? You know, just.
If I can ask you a question on the Course of Miracles, because I start reading a textbook and it says that, maybe I understood that wrong, but it says that you can, in your life, you can, if you feel like, you can start from exercises without reading a textbook. Or if you guided, you can start from the textbook for teachers. So when we were talking, you know, the story, I said I couldn't focus anymore on the disappearance of universe because I had such a urge to start doing a course of miracles that I just couldn't stop myself. Then we spoke with PJ and he said to me that as much as you know, I should read the books first to introduce me to it. So I'm asking, was I wrong or right?
No, what I said was that, you know, what I remember was that without knowing the concept, you may practice you will practice something else. You will interpret, you know. But if you are in this place in your life, you want to do it, nothing can stop you. Then do it, you know. You will
But
discover.
then again, I remember when I text you and I wasn't sure am I understanding a lesson 2 or 3 properly.
Yeah. But you know, you don't remember as well that it said that you don't have to understand it.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, that's why
It's a miracle.
you need to understand.
No, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. Was I
Why
doing
did
it
you guys
right?
use a table?
But if you don't have to understand that,
You guys can use the table.
no, I thought, you know, so I didn't want to.
Have some space and
I
use
don't
the
know.
table.
I didn't want to
Anyway.
chew in people's ears. Not pepper.
That's okay.
Oops, I was going to move the table, forgot. No.
Yeah. Yeah, well, my own, like, you know, my own thing was I just followed, everyone's got a different way. Some people love the text. I mean, I just did the lessons myself because of what my teacher said to get cracking with it. But it's whatever. What was your question again?
She was asking if because I advised her.
Yeah.
Well, I said that whatever I remember is that you may, if you don't know the idea enough, you will just do something else. You will interpret the lessons in a different way, and you will create your own thing of it. You know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
for me, it was important that I had the edge versus to her urge, opposite to her urge, which was doing it. I had now, because it's the second approach of Course in Miracles this life. So I thought, now I'll do it right. Not in a right way, but in that I want to make the most of it, and I don't want to misinterpret because I'm not willing to read it or whatever, you know.
Yes.
So I said, I don't mind to wait as long as I didn't have to do it.
Yes.
I knew that it will come.
Yeah.
I think what my question is that because in my life I'm very technical person,
Yes.
so it's hard for me to kick in with the feeling of it. But to me, the urge of I've been studying counseling and psychotherapy, and I was always laughing that if I could, I would inject myself Freud. I would do any exercise during a course, during a 4-year course on myself first. I would just go for anything spiritual, what would be there, because I always had that need. And then Jesus came. That's a different story. So my question is, more so, is there any technical guidance, or do I any technical guidance how to do I don't know how to say it, how to explain this, to start doing exercises, because I would love to start doing exercises and during this time still keep on reading the books.
And what is impeding
Impeding
you
you,
to
stopping
do
you.
that? You know, you want to do the exercise, and at the same
Because
time
I was
you want to
thinking
read
that's
the book. Do you read
that's
the book? There is no
that's the way
rules.
it should be.
No,
I should
there
first
is no
read the
rules.
book
No.
and then do exercises. But let's say, I think the third exercise, it says, can I see the exercises?
Yeah, yeah.
And I will give you example on that.
Okay, yes.
So I can maybe say that,
Nothing I did it the other day.
Oh, yeah.
and then I think then you will understand me what I'm trying to say.
The exercise,
So lesson 3, you mean?
Yes.
that's in the middle of the book.
Oh, yeah, I'm having this on my iPhone.
Yeah, that's alright. There you go. Lesson 1, 2, 3.
Nothing that I see means anything. I think yes, something like that.
Yes, so it's, I do not understand anything I
I
see
see.
in this room. And to me, because I'm very technical, it was confusing. Should I say, I do not understand this bottle in this room, or I do not, or keep saying this?
Oh yeah, I see.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? My phone is dead. If PJ can read your message, then you would understand better. But is there any technical stuff in a textbook that will give me better understanding?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Somebody that can give you more explanations of this.
Yes.
Yes, there are. And that's what you need to get.
On Facebook, on Messenger.
No, there are, you know, the workbook,
What?
you know, the...
Chciałabym zobaczyć i przeczytać mój telefon.
I don't have Facebook, no.
That, like something like this, a workbook companion that explains the lessons as well. So
Yes.
you can have a deeper kind of understanding of it.
Yes,
That's what
because
you
I wasn't
you
sure
mean.
am I saying this
That's-
right.
Oh, saying it right. No, that kind of really gives me a bit more explanation of the lessons, and kind of, you know, you get deeper and more in-depth understanding of the lesson, if
Okay.
that's what you want.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, those are the few others. That's one of the... I
You
don't
can
know.
do that, or you can let it kick in itself.
Remember when I
because it
sent
will
you a
kick in
message?
Yes, that's that as well,
You
but she
can-
wants some kind of, she's saying at this stage. some
Yeah,
kind of
you know,
stuff.
it's for me. Well, whatever. It's your thing.
It's like it says I have given everything I see in this room all the meaning that it has for me,
Yes.
or I have given this bottle, and so on.
I understand your question. I would. I mean, for me,
Look, it says here.
The purpose of these exercises actually is just to conduct you in a way that you can get rid of every concept that you had of everything up to now, you know. I understand that it's very confusing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why just do it. You just do it. Don't put your mind, you know,
Yeah.
just apply
Just
it.
really
And
do it.
because, I mean, it's impossible to understand this
Yes.
from the state of mind that we
Yes,
are
that's what I.
in.
That's what I feel.
Absolutely.
Impossible.
And even intellectualize about this is just ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just do it, just follow, even if you don't understand, you just follow. And
That's what you need.
I noticed that with the pass of time, you are in, you know, your mind goes to different understanding levels, you know, and then you do it again and you will understand it differently, you know. It's just, you know, when there is confusion, it's
Yes,
no
because it
good
says, like,
at all,
for example,
you know.
these toes do not mean anything. They are like things I see in the room.
yes.
And I was
Yeah.
really confused on one point and I got really angry. Should I say this, or should I, for example, say, these thoughts about John don't mean anything to me? Should I keep it personal, or should I
No,
just...
just following the instructions, really. That's what we're required to do.
This
We
is
don't
very
need to
confusing
believe
at
them
the beginning,
either. We
those
just
exercises.
Yeah,
I know, that's why it
And
says that we don't have to
those-
understand that.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
and
that's
those
like-
first
yeah,
ones are
yes.
really difficult ones.
Okay. Also,
you know,
stuff
when
like,
you first start out, those are the difficult ones.
also
You don't
what I
read
was
anything.
looking for is,
Yeah.
it's for
I really
365
like your
days in a year.
jacket. It's really beautiful.
But does
Yeah.
it say anywhere, what if I stop one day? Do I need
It
to
doesn't
come?
matter. It doesn't matter. You can stay there for a couple of days. You can stay
On one lesson?
You can stay
But
three.
did
so it
you
doesn't
read
matter.
it from the beginning, the workbook? Because it says everything there. That you don't have to and stuff, does it?
I don't know.
I think it's...
Yeah, my own view. I mean, everyone's got a different view. My own view is what's been said is good. I mean, it's not really about understanding the lessons. I mean, my own, like if someone was to ask me, I mean, everyone would say something different. Would be just pick up lesson 1 and do the best you can with it in applying it. I personally don't think it matters whether you understand it or not.
No, it doesn't.
It's the intention. The Holy Spirit will help you, even if you did it all wrong. It doesn't matter if you did it wrong. If, like, you know, I'm not sure. See, a lot of people have things like they can't do it unless they understand it perfectly or they do it perfectly. And I would say forget all of that.
Right.
Don't worry if you don't understand any of it.
Well, how are you going to understand that? Just
That's what I'm saying. Don't bother.
How are you going to understand? You know that means nothing.
No.
You know, I've been giving to this all the meaning that it has for me. You know, what does it mean exactly?
That's why I meant, because she was asking all these questions, and that's what I meant, that if you will try to create an intellectual discipline of it, you will create your own stuff, and you will not do Course in Miracles. So I remember that I need to know that it doesn't mean anything from the beginning, and I didn't want to approach it earlier as I felt at ease, and I knew that I don't have to do anything about that. And regardless I'm doing it right or wrong, it's all come, you know, like questions, all these questions was answered, because I had obviously the same questions, but okay, can I have breaks? Of course I can have breaks, because there's no time. So how can I have you know, there's no time, whatever, you know. Can I do it wrong or right? No, I cannot, because wrong or right are concepts from my mind. So I prepared myself first with to familiarize myself with the concept, and but as I said, you know, you do whatever you want. I would not recommend it jumping into it. I remember a warning about not creating your own intellectual discipline, and I thought, okay, in that case, I can only follow my own guidance, but it's my own for myself, not for her.
Yeah, I mean, that's also true. You must follow your own guidance at the end of the day. For me, it was like, my own story was that I had a spiritual experience watching Hawkins DVDs. So it was like I was going to follow my teacher's advice, and that would just resonated true for me, which was just to do the lessons, do a lesson a day, to the very best of my ability. But I also thought that something happened when I was exposed to my teacher, that things made sense. You see, it was like a catalytic, a catalytic energy had been transferred. So it was like the interpretation of that goes well. I also think because Dorota had the experience now, she's much more able to already. She doesn't need so much time to, because it's beyond the intellect what you experienced.
So, you can understand it totally.
So, you know, already there is, just by being in this group and all the people in this group and the experience that you've had, you know, the capacity just to do the lessons, there is an aspect of the mind that doesn't want to do something unless it understands it perfectly or unless it does it perfectly. And that
That's
aspect,
very me.
yeah, that aspect I mean, I'd say it's okay if you don't understand it. It's okay if you don't do it perfectly. I can give you an explanation. It's like, just by the attempt to do the lessons, it's like the Holy Spirit is with you. It's like Jesus is with you. So just your intention, whether you do it perfectly or imperfectly, whether you say it, you know, I personally on some level don't think it matters too much whether on the first day you say, this table does not mean anything, this book does not mean anything, or you just say, this thing does not mean anything, that thing does not mean anything. It doesn't really matter. It's still, something will happen just by the application of it, whether it was done perfectly, not because of the intention. You see, the intention is the invocation to grace. Or, you know, like sometimes I used to do Course in Miracles lesson, I didn't understand what it was going on about in the early days. But then later on in the day, it was like I'd get a message. That's what it was about. Oh, okay, now I get it. So it didn't really matter that I didn't even understand what I was doing for the first part of the day. By the end of the day, it was given, because it was like the ego was confused. I'm not sure what this means, you know. It'd be like, you know, in the early days, it'd be like, what function? You know, I don't know what function. And then you finally get it. What's the function about?
It's like tea time. I do the lessons from the morning, and about tea time, I get the oh, that's about this. You know, I had it several times. And yesterday, do you remember? I said, what kind of student were you in school? Because I didn't care about anything in school, you know. But now I know that I need to repeat.
Yes.
And repetition is the way in.
Yes.
And I don't have to worry, oh, am I going to understand it? No, just repeat it. And tea time comes, obviously it can be whatever. If I don't understand it, it kicks in.
Yeah, the thing is that I have many questions about that, you know? About the Course of Miracles. Do I return and come back to some lessons? If I feel like, or are they, do you feel, because at least already 3 lessons really helped me. So even if I'm on even when I was on day 3, if I was in a certain situations, I kind of have reminding of, let's say, lesson 1 that those thoughts doesn't mean anything to me. Is this the right thing to do? Do you know, it's my right brain is kicking in.
Yeah, your right brain is good. My own view is how I did it. This is just how I did it. Was I just picked up a lesson in the morning, and I did it to the very best of my ability. And then the next day I picked up my next lesson card, and I did that to the best of my ability. Because for me it doesn't matter. Like this is, I don't know, year 7 or year 8 that I'm doing the lessons every day. So whether I get it that, you know, but I don't want to be stuck. I mean, I think Hawkins said,
it's not
just do a lesson for like 30
it's not
days
that I'm stuck, it's just I've noticed that some lessons would help me during my days. Is this the purpose of it?
I also do another thing, is like I say to some other people, is like you can do your lesson and then, but also if there's a previous lesson that you want to apply, you can do both, you see. So it's like, you know, I can be going like, this table does not mean anything, but then suddenly at some point I might meet somebody and have a confrontation and go, I pray for a miracle to see this person differently.
That's
I'm
what
applying a different lesson.
That goes with time and training.
Yes, that comes with
time.
time.
At the beginning, actually, I recommend you to read a little bit that it says, you know, for the purpose of these exercises, do 1 a day and don't do more than that. Because it just confuses you a lot, you know, and then it's just an ego game, you know, I can do this, that, and all of them. And at the end, you're doing nothing by confusing your mind, you know.
I agree with you.
I mean, there is no any way of doing it, you know. And for me, it's more like it helps me to observe how I'm reacting to it, you know. Like at the beginning, I was like, there are some exercises that you have to do it every 5 minutes in an hour or something like that, and then I was just putting my alarm clock in the watch, you know, actually used to do it, and then I realized that that's not really the way of doing it, you know. For me, it was more observing, like how I'm reacting to all of this, you know. I'm doing it right, and no, okay, fine, I'm doing the best I can, you know. But with time, it's just. You will see things that just get a little bit more clear, you know.
Nice. Okay.
I understand that at the beginning is just the Course of Miracles 2 months, isn't it? It's just,
it's meant to be.
And it is very dangerous as well. But anyway, just relax, you know. Like there is no way of doing it right or wrong, you know. It's just do it however you feel like it.
Okay.
And when you see your mind all the time like, oh God, I'm doing it right, you just think like, who is talking in here, you know?
Exactly.
Who is talking in here? Who is telling me all this? I need, you know, just, I'm doing the best I can, you know, and just keep doing it.
Is the counseling lesson, is that actually a lesson?
It's derived out of lesson 14. It's just another way to do lesson 14. God did not create cancer, so it's not real. or you know, the one Hawkins said, I cancel my belief in cancer, I'm an infinite being.
Would you do that daily as
that
a
one I
meditation?
did. That one was one of my daily ones because I had so many illnesses, and my teacher said that he did that. So, and I found it to be a very super effective way of letting beliefs go.
Nice.
All the strong belief systems that I held, kidney failure, gout, asthma. Those were good for letting go of physical illnesses or strong belief systems. So it was part of my, I had, apart from doing my Course in Miracles, like I have a prayer routine in the morning where I cancel beliefs. I do a few prayers, 12-step prayers, the prayer of St. Francis, and then I have my, that's what, normally I get on my knees in the morning, I have my prayers, I do my cancelling of beliefs, then I read my lesson of the day. Then I spend usually at least 5 minutes just doing the self-inquiry and being still. And then I have my watch. Usually I put it on every 5 minutes. I still have it. But, you know, every 5 minutes there's a beep. And sometimes there's a recollection of the lesson for the day. If there is any engagement with any thought, to let it go, you see. So that is like a constant background reminder. But you know what I would say to you mostly is in the beginning, you know, doing it perfectly or not understanding it. You see, today you've had an experience. You see, so the course lessons are gradually keeping that experience consistent. You know, the experience consistent. So if you get too much engaged, did I do it perfectly? I would say it doesn't matter if you do it perfectly or not perfectly.
Keep going.
Keep going and just pick it up. It's like have this thing. It's okay if it's not perfect. Another way to see it is like I've repeated, I've gone through it many years, so I didn't need to get the lesson perfectly that day. Sometimes I get the lesson later in the day, sometimes I get the lesson 3 days later, but it comes, you see, so you don't have to get it perfectly today.
Yeah.
Okay.
If a little baby or if a little child thought that way, it would never learn to walk.
Yeah.
You just walk, you know, you make another step, whether it's perfect or not, it doesn't matter. None of us would walk if we use that way of thinking. And now you're walking, you know.
Well, I'm doing the meditation from the book that you sent me.
Right, yeah. I don't think he knows. There's this meditation David R proposes to bring in a space of nothingness, really, you know. It's just another.
It's similar to from the one from the Course of Miracles.
There's plenty of that.
And
This
when I'm silent, I feel similar to the place that you brought me today, from that place of observer, to the point that I wasn't aware that it gone like over 20 minutes of my meditation.
Yeah.
So I needed to be careful a little bit because I set my alarm not to be late to work.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think this is my for now. And again, it's kicking in. Correct me if I'm wrong, which is I'm not probably. It just keep going, yeah.
Yeah, keep
because I
going.
meditate every morning and every evening. So when I do my meditation, then after that I would like to do, and I did my lesson.
Yes.
And then same at the evening, whatever. It's awful in the beginning, no?
No. I was just, you know, having thoughts, you know. I was just kind of thinking that we can easily become, you know, spiritually intoxicated with so many things than the Course of Miracles and this book, and that one, and now this one, and now this, you know. I was just laughing at that, you know.
It is funny because it definitely hasn't. This is one of the not many things which hasn't been designed to cause that, to cause more confusion, you know. But mind will use anything to keep you going, you know. So that's what I meant, that I did not approach it. I did not approach exercises before I was settled, and I would not, because all the questions you ask, I've answered them to you already many times, and I've answered them to myself. What I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say that I did not fall for all that thing because I prepared, okay? But as well, it was just my way, and I thought I cannot recommend anything else because I don't know anything else. All I know, I didn't want to try them without with that questions, you know, and make another discipline of them, and how should it be done, or already straining thing put on top of that, was it wrong or right? That was too much for me. So I thought, no, I'm willing to wait how much time is necessary, and the day came.
Was the meaning of the first one and the second one?
So the second one,
So the first one.
or okay, so any of them. So they are mantras, which are in Sanskrit, and they are often for the names of the gods, the Hindu gods, and their invocation of those gods, which are the eternal presence and eternal energy manifested. So it's kind of invoking that within us, really, when we're chanting it, invoking that eternal I am presence and bliss within us, and most of them are about either holy places or those holy names to remind us of us.
Yeah. But what was the meaning? Oh, no, okay, yeah, right.
If you're interested, you can look up specific meanings as to what each god means, and each holy place and what has happened. I'm happy to share with you as well if you give me your email.
No, I just wanted to know what were you repeating all the time, basically, that was it, you know.
It was Shiva, it was Hanuman, it was...
Shiva, Hanuman, Arunachala, Babaji, Muji, Gangaji, they are spiritual teachers, and it's also inviting the grace of those spiritual teachers to guide us. It doesn't actually have a meaning. I'm sure it does, relative, there is some meaning.
There must be some repetition of words, but they must have some sort of...
They have like properties.
Be addressed to something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
they have properties.
You know.
They have properties, so they bring different properties and qualities, like Shiva is the god of creation and destruction, and that presence, the beyond, presence that's beyond creation and destruction. Krishna is often seen as sort of the manifestation of that joy and bliss with the flute and playfulness. If you're interested, it's beautiful. There's many different gods, and you can look up as well what the gods are and see which mantras you like as well, because sometimes we're drawn to different mantras than others, and they may be closer to you, which is beautiful also.
I think so. Often in Muji, those are the similar ones that we get at the end of the Muji thing, and the bhajans. Like in the Course in Miracles, it says just to say the name of God. Has very, very powerful, very powerful properties,
No, I know that, you know, I've been practicing, you know, mantras, you know, in the past. I just specifically wanted to know the meaning of, you know, the ones, you know, but that's it, you know, but if there is no, that's fine. Nothing else, you know, just wanted to, like if I want to repeat it, you know, well, maybe I don't need to know the meaning, you know, at all.
I
just wanted to, it's like, there's no,
vibration.
It's
the vibration.
The meaning, most of them anyway, because I've recited many mantras over the years as well. You don't need to know. Some of them, as Nell said, they've got different properties. You know, but you don't really need to know the meaning.
It's even easier, I guess, without meaning, because the ego does not interpret, you know, and does not translate it to its own use.
It's better just to let the vibration
there is space
and
for both,
the sound.
If you wish to just enjoy the vibration, that's okay. If you also wish to know which one is which, it's also beautiful. Arunachala is a place in South India where Ramana Maharshi was, and Arunachala was his guru, and it was this hill that was this eternal, ever-present, silent beingness, and he sort of surrendered to that presence, and so this was one of them that I was chanting. And he stood there, and then the names of the teachers, the masters, the enlightened masters, as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Your voice is getting better every time. It's changing.
Thank
Is
you.
it? Oh,
Maybe.
it's always been beautiful to me.
Yeah, it's
Well, it's always been beautiful, but it's, I don't know, it's got more strength. Or
I think more confidence.
you're more,
Right. There's
Maybe-
more power. There's more power.
yeah, maybe playing in here because, you know, the first time you just took out, you know, you hadn't really been here before, and then now you've done it a few times.
Oh,
And yeah, it's good. Maybe you two are going to have a travelling show.
channeling show.
When his
Reminds
book
me of
is
Lisa.
finished.
About her.
A channeling show. What is a channeling show?
Travelling.
Oh, a travelling show.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Sort of like dynamic duo kind of thing.
I think it would sell out.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we can do like cancellings next, or we can do, it's lesson 21 of Course in Miracles, or we could do some self-inquiry. Does anyone have a preference what order we go next? No preferences?
Counseling, maybe?
Yep, okay.
Or lesson
Yep.
if people wish
Unless
to do
others
lesson.
want to go, what we go first. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no.
No, you couldn't. Okay, let's start with the cancellings. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, the cancellings, for anyone who's new, I'll just do a super quick rundown. Lesson 14 of A Course in Miracles is God did not create cancer, so it's not real. God did not create war, so it's not real. And it gives you advice to be specific in what you cancel, like not just general illness, but what to say is not real. Now, Hawkins had about 20 illnesses, and he ran an attitudinal centre in the States, and there people with cancer, AIDS, myasthenia gravis, those illnesses all left them as they were doing Course in Miracles and doing counselling of beliefs, which is just another way of doing lesson 14. God did not create it, so it's not real. And I myself have shared many times in this. I had kidney failure, gout, asthma, and just by doing the counsellings regularly, along with the Course in Miracles and other spiritual work, self-inquiry, all those illnesses left one by one, and also the number of medications I had, was for me another major miracle, went down from 13 medications to 1 medication, just by doing the counselling. So I do it in 3 parts. Like I cancel my belief in kidney failure. I'm an infinite being subject only to what I hold in mind. I found as well with that it came to me recently that I could go like, God did not create this in my mother. God did not create oedema in my mother. And what I witnessed was that her legs improved very, very rapidly in a miraculous way. So God did not create that in my mother, so it's not real. And I do a quick visualization at the end, just for me, just seeing the body healthy and at peace. So those are the 3 stages I do for the cancelling of beliefs. If you want to ask questions, you can. But if you don't want to go, you can pass. And that's what it is, really. So